All right, let's do this one more time. It's actually not going to be one more time. We got a few more times, but let's do this one more time. Here we have the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Wave 2, inspired by Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Here we have Spider-Man Peter Parker, not Peter B. Parker, just Peter Parker. This is the Peter Parker Spider-Man that dies at the beginning of the movie at the hands of Kingpin, and Prowler was involved, Green Goblin was involved. But that's what this Spider-Man is. As you can tell, he has blonde hair, not the brown hair of Peter B. Parker. Now, yes, of course, absolutely, I do plan to pop this Peter Parker head sculpt onto this Spider-Man body. And will it fit? There's no reason why it won't, because these heads are literally the exact same. Wait, are they? Pretty sure they're the same. They just painted differently, which makes them look very different. Wow, they do actually look I don't know if they're the same. We're going to find out if they're the same. But I am going to pop this head onto that body so we can do that there. We get a brand new Spider-Man figure for Into the Spider-Verse, along with Miles Morales also. We did not get these figures in the full Spider-Man suits. What a crime that was, that Into the Spider-Verse, we got the half-assed Target exclusive 2-pack of Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. Terrible, terrible 2-pack. Those are the comic figures painted to look like the animated stuff with the head sculpts of the comic book stuff that resembled nothing to the movie. It was terrible. It was a cool set at the time, but we knew that it was super inaccurate. And then finally, way later, we got the Stiltman Build-A-Figure wave. We got Prowler, we got Gwen Stacy, we got Peter B. Parker, we got Miles Morales. But not Gwen was, but we didn't get the two Spider-Mans in their full suits. Across the Spider-Verse comes out. Amazing movie. So good. We get a wave. We get the new Miles Morales. We get the new Gwen Stacy. We get a half Spider-Man figure. And that is going to be... Which one was it? That was this one where he have the top half Spider-Man. Cool. And then you got the sweatpants version there. This was a new torso that they gave that Spider-Man. Like, crazy that they would do that. And not give us a full Spider-Man. But now we have the full Spider-Man, and guess what? He gets all new torso again. The upper body might have been used again. We'll take a look at that and see if I can tell for sure. But I'm excited about this one. We'll see how the articulation goes. Unfortunately, he does not have butterfly joints, and that would have made a big difference. But even still, I'm just happy that we finally have a full suited Spider-Man. So we'll take a look. Across the Spider-Verse, we see all that blah, blah, blah. We get the cross-sell of all the figures in the wave. First, we looked at Paviter. Then we looked at Miguel. Then we looked at Miles G. Now we're on Peter Parker. Next up will probably be Miles, and then Spider-Punk, and then Spider-Gwen to round out the wave. So here we go. Let's get Peter out of the package. Hey guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're getting so close, and I know we can make it. So with your help, we can get there. If you guys enjoy my action figure reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and check out Peter Parker getting a little dance action going on the street. Really reminiscent of Spider-Man 3. I actually hated that. I wish he wouldn't have done that, but it was funny in the movie. But anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so I got Spider-Man out of the package, and he's kind of doing his little dance on the street like he did in Into the Spider-Verse. Because obviously call back to Spider-Man 3. But here we have the Peter Parker, and I will say this. It is a pretty good Spider-Man, but it's not going to be the greatest. The comic book Spider-Man figures are definitely way better than this. I like, in theory or in concept, an idea that we got the diaphragm cut and the inverted ab crunch. But it's poorly executed in this figure, partly due to design, but yeah, partly, well, we'll talk about it as we get closer. One thing that the comic figures, I'll have to go back and look, and I don't know, I think the way they painted the design of the suit, it doesn't affect, but because the web lines are all sculpted on this figure, it breaks up the design when you use the ab in the back, and it's the back is... It's his back. Would you see it? I don't know, but it's for sure ugly looking. And then just the animated style of the figure, with the thin proportion, the thin legs, thin arms. He's very tall, skinny. That also doesn't quite help. So it's hard to compare this to like the comic book figures. They're just a little bit bulkier, a little sturdier. just all around a little bit better because he also have butterfly joints and things like that. But this figure overall is good. It is not going to be the greatest Spider-Man figure. I think it's good, not quite great. But I think it is worth the pickup. So let's go ahead and get in for a closer look at Spider-Man, and then we'll see his articulation. We'll compare him to some other Spider-Verse figures, and then we'll take a look at the Mafex version, because that's the only other full Spider-Man suit that we got. However, today, SH Figuarts did announce a Peter B. Parker from Across the Spider-Verse. So he's got the robe, he's got Mayday Parker with him, and then he can do the full suit look there. But that was just announced today. I don't know literally any other details. I haven't even looked at all the pictures. But again, let's zoom in on this Spider-Man now. Okay, so here we have an up-close look at Spider-Man. Now, people are going to debate this all the time, is whether or not the web lines should be painted in. When we have painted web lines where it's sculpted and then painted, the black just looks too dark. Like the Final Swing No Way Home Spider-Man, Tom Holland, I love that figure. But I will acknowledge that the black lines of the web lines of the suit are very big, thick, noticeable. It makes it stand out in a negative way, in my opinion. Could this figure benefit from the web lines? Sure, if it's done right. Like the No Way Home, I think is a little too dark, a little too thick, just not quite right. What's the balance there? I have no idea. Maybe like the Homecoming figure where they used a gray line work for the web lines. Maybe that could work as opposed to like a full-on black color. In the Spider-Verse movie, it was kind of almost like a reflective look, so maybe if they went with a light gray or silver-ish type color, maybe that could have worked and that could have looked good. I just think it really depends on the execution. For the most part, I don't mind that we don't get the painted web lines, because when I look at the figure, I clearly see web lines, whether they're painted or not. They're sculpted in there so they are noticeable. People will debate that, disagree with that. All good. That's just my personal opinion and view on it. Painted web lines should always kind of be the case, but for me, when we don't have it, I still see web lines, so I'm still good overall. But yes, painted web lines should be the case, as long as it's also executed right. But looking at this Spider-Man, first I want to take a look at, the Wave 1 Spider-Man that we got. He looks a little bit shorter because of the legs and stuff. We do get these same arms there, and we do get the same upper torso. Obviously the lower torso, because it's an inverted ab, is going to be all new, whereas here we just had a ball joint waist. One thing about this figure that I always felt was weird, the sculpting in the torso of those web lines always looked kind of soft and weird. So think of it like standard definition versus high definition, right? High definition, nice and clear web lines. Standard definitions, oh, it looks a little fuzzy. So there was a little bit of that going on. A very like pale faded red. So it just looked a little faded. I know through my camera it's coming off a little bit darker than having it in my hand, but it just looks a little bit faded compared to this one. Much better red here. The blue, brighter blue, which I think makes a little bit more sense. This blue is a little bit darker, so we have that, and it's good. The mask is also the exact same, so there's really no difference there. It's just, matches obviously the red. But same arms, same upper torso, same head sculpt. It's just the torso, and then the legs are going to be all new on this particular Spider-Man. So looking at it, looks good. The details, like the sculpted detail of the spider, that's good. The sculpted detail around there is interesting, but here's the problem. That is ugly. And I don't have a comic figure in front of me. I'll go and grab one shortly as we do the comparison. So I'll look to see kind of how that looks. I don't recall this being such an issue there, but also the web lines are completely painted. The design, it's not something that's sculpted, so there is that change, but that's really ugly. And then that's pretty ugly there too. Not that you would necessarily lean back that far, but it's, it's a little noticeable. There. No butterfly joints, which would have been really nice. We are fully pinless though, so that is great. As you can see there, sculpted web lines all in the boots and everything. Yeah, so there we go. Peter Parker, not Peter B. Parker. This is Peter Parker in the blonde. So let's go ahead and take a look at that head sculpt, because I swapped it out. So out of the package, this is the head that we get. On there, I think somebody asked, will this head fit on a comic Scarlet Spider? I'm not going to try it because this peg is the ball peg is very small, so the peg hole in the head is going to be small, and that body is quite bulky. This body is very small. It's going to look really bad, so I'm not even going to attempt to try it. And then before I forget, the additional accessories that Spider-Man comes with, he also has a pair of thwip hands. Unfortunately, no wall crawling hands, which would have been nice as Spider-Man's. They should always have thwip hands, fists, and wall crawling hands. We typically might get one thwip, one wall crawling hand, or one fist. We never get all three sets. On some occasions we do. This is not one of them. I wish it was. Wall crawling hands should be an absolute must and mandatory for all Spider-Man figures, but that's just me thinking out loud. Hopefully Hasbro can hear that and say, you know what, Bryant, you're right. But we know that's likely not going to happen. But anyway, Peter B. Parker. Yes, the head fits on there because it is in fact, it is in fact the same head sculpt. It's amazing the difference that paint does. So lighter skin tone, blonde hair. The hair we could always tell was going to be the same, but the sculpt is the same. No 5 o'clock shadow on the new Peter Parker. Peter B. Parker. He's a little run down. There, I like the way this one is painted much better than the one this is painted. Something about the eyes just look a little off. I don't know if they just made the eyes a little too big, but that's what we have going on there. But yes, absolutely, head sculpt fits on there. He's a little slimmed down. I mean, Peter B should probably be a little bit bigger. Here, you know, they made a new torso. It was fairly, you know, small in size. He was a little bit more pudgy on that first release. Oh, is that the same torso even? No, because the neck is different, because this one has the exposed neck, so that's not the same. But yeah, he's a little pudgy on that one. Skinnier on this one. This one's a little too skinny, I think, for Peter B. Parker. So let's go ahead and pop that off. Let's put this back on there. And then let's zoom out for the articulation. Okay, so articulation on Spider-Man. He does not move as nicely and easily as I would say like the comic book Spider-Man figures, unfortunately. He can look all the way up, though, which is great. He can look all the way down, as you can see there. You get a full rotation in that head. Do you get pivot? Nah, tiny bit, not really. The arms feel a little gummy, a little too soft on that shoulder. So you really have to grip the shoulder ball to be able to move it. Like just doing the arms, you're just going to stress out that plastic way too much. I don't like how they did that. That is not good. So poor quality control on the arms. Was this one an issue? A little bit. So it's not something that they improved upon. But anyway, the shoulder, you can get the shoulder to go straight out to the side. As you can see, that much there. You could do a full rotation in there. Unfortunately, no butterfly joint. Butterfly joint would have been really nice. You have an upper bicep swivel in there, double jointed elbow, pinless elbow like so. Gives you that much bend there. Wrist swivel, and they do hinge. Standard horizontal hinge on the fists as well as the thwip hands. Yeah, the arms are definitely a problem. Maybe they could have been thicker or harder plastic, slightly harder plastic. So as of now, these arms are just a little too flimsy, a little too bendy. So I think that's an opportunity there. We have a diaphragm cut on him, so he could tilt to his left that much. He could tilt to his right that much there. He can go back on that diaphragm tiny bit, as you can see there. And then coming forward is very, 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 very little. So that's kind of standing up straight. And that's coming forward. As you can see, it's hardly anything at all. You get a swivel at that diaphragm. That works out really well. And then you have the ab crunch. So total with the inverted ab and the diaphragm is only that much. That's not a huge amount. Like standard ab crunch will get us that far. But notice again, the back, how bad it looks. So I looked at comic book figures. The reason why it doesn't look so bad is because when you do that, they painted the red and the web lines in there. So you don't see as much gap. But you do see it here. So either way, it's not really perfect, and it's just unfortunate because here they're actually sculpted as opposed to painted, so it really sticks out a lot more. So I don't know if the solution would have been just putting red paint here so we could see a complete red stripe. It would still look funky there. I don't know what the best answer for that is. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Or do you sacrifice the design and put the web lines way lower, or see, maybe a standard ab crunch could have been the better way to go here. Actually, the real answer is ball joint at the waist. You have the waist right there and have this sculpted there and have a ball joint at the waist. We didn't get that. that would have been the best solution. So answered my own question there. Would have been cool, but unfortunately that is not the case there. We do get drop down hips though, so you can pull the hips down a little bit. You can get the arms to go that far, the legs to go that far apart for the splits. Can't kick forward extremely far. The leg does go back a little bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there, double jointed pinless knee, gives you that much bend there, which is quite nice. You get a swivel at the top of the boot. Foot hinges down all the way, hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. And he does have pretty thin feet because he does have pretty thin legs. So proportion-wise, he's just very, very thin. But that's really the design of the characters in the movies. Basically, all of them, you know, proportion-wise, they just have really thin legs. Like Spider-Man 2099, right? He's jacked, but you know he doesn't do leg day. He always misses leg day. So kind of the same thing here. It's not as bad as obviously as Spider-Man 2099, but because of that, he's got small feet, so balancing can be a little bit tricky if you're trying to get him into certain poses and things. Okay, so here we have full suit Spider-Man. We have the Marvel Legends Wave 2 Across the Spider-Verse, and we have the Mafex from Into the Spider-Verse. I forget that Sentinel did make a Spider-Man figure. I never got it, so I cannot do a comparison with that, unfortunately. And I'd be willing to bet 8 out of 10 people say the Sentinel Spider-Man is the absolute best Spider-Man for Into the Spider-Verse, maybe any kind of Spider-Man figure. But I don't have it. I've never held one in hand. I've never seen one in person, so I don't know anything about it, so I couldn't be able to do a comparison here. I'm sure it would be extremely better than this Marvel Legends figure. And again, the Marvel Legends figure isn't bad. It's just not great. We look at like the Mafex figure that just does articulation really well. We got double ball, so ball joint at the diaphragm, ball joint at the waist. He's got a little bit of a pudgy stomach, but that makes sense for Peter B. Parker. This is a Peter Parker. I mean, I'm just using that as an excuse at this point because for the most part, it's going to be one and the same, right? If the gut's a little bit bigger, right, who cares? But we have painted web lines on the Mafex. This is also the what did they call it? The renewal version, which has better paint apps. So my understanding is when the Mafex one first came out, that the black of the web lines also kind of got into the red and it just didn't look as good. And that's sort of the thing, that's kind of the risk that you may have. So as long as you execute painted web lines well, then it looks good. Hasbro has not always painted web lines well. They have before, yes, and they have not before, yeah. So if they were to do it right, it could work out. I think black is a little too dark. If they went with a gray or silverish style color, kind of, because in the movie it was a little bit reflective, I think that would have been cool. The other thing that the Mafex does really well is it adds in the texture of the suit. Now, in an animated movie, do we see the texture? Not really, but you can kind of see that there's some difference in kind of the design a little bit. The Marvel Legends just went for a flat blue, flat reds, no texture to it whatsoever. That also makes a big difference. So if you have the $100 for the Mafex, that's definitely the better way to go. But if you're looking for a $25 figure for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this is definitely the one to pick up. The Sentinel, I think, is even more expensive than the Mafex. Again, SH Figuarts just announced today that they're going to have a Peter Parker from Across the Spider-Verse. So he's got the full robe, he's got Mayday Parker, the baby, but you can be able to switch out parts to give yourself a full-on Spider-Man look. But you know, I think it's always scary and not fair to say, well, look at the Mafex and the Marvel Legends. They should not be able to compete. There are some Legends that are able to compete, but in most cases, Mafex is going to win. Like 99% of the time. 95 maybe. Okay, so for our Marvel Legends comparisons, you could see the three, and I kind of already showed a little bit of side-by-side earlier, but we have the full-on three there. I think I like the red and blue of this. No, maybe not the blue. I like the red on this one the best. It's similar to this one, but this one, I don't know. Well, it's tough because the upper torso red is the molded plastic, but in the lower torso, that red is painted over the blue, so it ends up looking a little bit dark. I like the way the red looks there. Too faded looking on that one. But again, I'm happy that we get a full Spider-Man suit Spider-Man. Silly me, I'm like, where's my Miles so I can have Miles Morales and Spider-Man? I haven't opened Miles yet. That's going to be the next video. I don't open up because I do all the reviews. I open the figure as I do the reviews, so I can't do a side-by-side. But hey, make sure to check out, stay tuned for my Miles Morales Spider-Man review video so you can see all three Spiders together full on. So here, what I do want to show you guys, though, is kind of the team from Into the Spider-Verse. We did get Spider-Man Noir. We got Gwen. Oh, well, this is kind of the wrong Gwen. Sorry, let me put this Gwen. This was the Into the Spider-Verse Gwen. There are some differences in the suit, of course. There, and then, well, I have this Miles, and we could do this for now, right? If we wanted to do that, if we wanted to get our Into the Spider-Verse stuff going, and then we've got Peter Porker Spider-Ham, whoops, that we can add in there. So that's kind of our team from the first movie. We never did get a true Penny Parker. I mean, we got this monstrosity, but, you know, I don't know that I really want to count this. I mean, we got the mech suit, but not in the Legends. It's not very good. It's all hard plastic and stuff. And I can't get this little Penny Parker to balance. Why they designed her to looking like that, I will never, ever, ever understand. But that's not going to work. But there, we have our team from the first Into the Spider-Verse movie. What we also have, at least, is we do have the Prowler from the Into the Spider-Verse. So at the beginning of the movie, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is fighting up against Prowler and Green Goblin, and then Kingpin also. We did not get a Kingpin figure, unfortunately, there, but we do have at least Prowler there. So we got Spider-Man and Prowler next to each other. Okay, and kind of our trio here, we've got Gwen and Miles. These are the Across the Spider-Verse versions from Wave 1. There, and I wanted to be able to add in kind of the different spiders that we got. So, well, Spider-Man Noir was not really in Across the Spider-Verse, but we got, you know, of course, Spider-Punk. There, Hobie Brown. We've got Paviter, Prabhakar. We've got Miguel, although I'd have the unmasked version there. We've got Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. There. So we have a bunch of different spider options. We've got Cyborg Spider-Woman, which I can't really fit anyway. Let's do something like that, I guess. If we wanted to add in Ham, we could do that too, or, you know, if I wanted to throw in Noir now. So lots of spiders for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Peter Parker wasn't really just like full-on suit, except for, I don't even think at the end he did, because he still's got Mayday with him. But anyway, I'm excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse, so we shall see, you know, how that movie is going to play out and kind of what that's going to look like. I mean, I am getting really, really, really excited for it, because Across the Spider-Verse is such a good movie, because I watched it twice in the last 3 days. Absolutely loved it. Okay, so if we just look at this wave specifically altogether, Wave 2 of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we've now looked at Paviter, we've looked at Miles G. Morales, Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, and now Peter Parker with the blonde hair from Into the Spider-Verse. Next up will be the Miles Morales Spider-Man figure from Into the Spider-Verse. I really like the wave, but I also am biased towards any kind of movie figure. This Spider-Man figure is a good one. I think people will be happy to have Spider-Man in his suit. The execution of the figure, unfortunately, does leave a little bit to be desired. But, again, still a pretty good one. Butterfly joints would have gone a big way. Ball joint at the waist where, you know, maybe Hasbro will get to the point where they start doing that sort of thing, because Paviter, look at that, ball joint at the waist, double ball, diaphragm, and waist, and it is fantastic. So maybe one day that's what we will see. Until then, this is the Spider-Man that we got. You guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this Spider-Man? Is it one that you're looking to pick up? Are you happy that that Hasbro kind of revisited Into the Spider-Verse to give us a full Spider-Man suit? I am. I mean, likely in Beyond the Spider-Verse, we would likely see Spider-Man in full suit anyway, so we'd probably get a figure. Maybe they'll redo it. Maybe they'll just issue the same one all over again. Time will tell, and we shall see. But you guys give me your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.